Welcome back to Book 2 of Earth Chronicles by H.G. Shuler. The Blue Woman. Chapter 9. Tallahassee, Florida, 1837. A little wind moved along the shoulders of a few white clouds, pushing shadows across the nearby fields and signaling the beginning of a summer's day. The early sky appeared transparent. It spread out like a canopy, raining silver and blue tones deep into the pastures surrounding the farmhouse. They touched the corners of Nova's shoulders with an airy freshness, while she sits watching the rolling, golden hills laid out in front of her. Her legs, like a long stretch of highway, lay horizontal on the grass. The area where she sits lies in a higher elevation than her surroundings. Along the roadside near the lake, she eyes a clump of willow trees. Beyond that are lavish rows of crepe myrtles, directly followed by the enormous, copiously scented orange grove. The picturesque spot is a favorite of its owners, Nova's newly acquired friends, Mr. and Mrs. James Jenkins. As the summer wind frisks across her shoulders, she hears the sound of the house door and someone walking down its steps. Then she catches sight of the shadow of a man's hat moving beside her. She starts to turn, but quickly it moves out in front of her. A man is now clearly seen underneath the hat. When she looks up at him, her heart contracts a little. It had done so the day before when the same man was a stranger to her. It was a habit of hers, her heart shrinking back when she was in awe of something. She did not want to let on that she was attracted to him, so she made out like she could hardly see for the sun's glare. She throws her hand up over her eyes. "Is that you, Johnny? I can hardly see." He looks down at her with his creamy, sunshine-filled face. "It's me, and I just tasted the best pie on God's green earth. It's called coconut. Jemima made it." The sight of him looking down at her revived memories of her early days with Logan. There had been some really good early days they'd spent all alone due to their strong attraction to each other. She hesitates, her hand, although completely unneeded, still pushed above her eyes like a salute. She didn't want to fall in love or to become the object of love. The whole idea of it seemed to make her a victim. She could not stop the computer side of her from overthinking it. Passion for another, or their passion for you, tend to bring about new laws with unreal expectations. She did not want to be thrust into that imaginary world again, submitting like a victim to love's measuring line. He would transport her to a pedestal, and her him. It would be like living in a dream. How beautiful he was. Simple and kind in exactly the way she liked. An artist had sketched all around him with lines that made her eyes want to weep. With a single stroke of the brush, he had unlocked her heart, causing her to succumb. What an unbelievable, absurd predicament to fall in love with a man from another era. But she did love him, and she didn't want to analyze it with her computer brain any longer. When she realizes it, she is not saying anything. She acts as if she's clearing her throat while at the same time relaxing her hand, allowing it to fall. So you've never had coconut pie before? If it wasn't grown on our farm, my mother didn't cook it. So it was mostly strawberry, blackberry, or sweet potato. I always assumed that my little town of Eufaula was the norm of the universe. But after that coconut pie, that way of thinking seems a little blurry. Has your whole life been in South Alabama? His head flexes back, his eyes tightening a little. No. What makes you ask? I hate the thought of someone living their whole life in the same spot, is all. My mother and father came and brought me down from the mountains when I was 10 years old. What do you mean, brought you down from the mountains? Truth is, Nova, I never knew my real father. While my mother was carrying me, he was killed in the War of 1812. When my mother took sick, word was sent to my aunt and uncle. Mother died the day before they arrived. There was an old man and woman. I don't remember them except for coming to look after me, so I wouldn't be alone. I remember they were dirty, and their clothes were dirty. I suppose I was dirty, too. I suppose we lived that way, poor as a church mouse. I didn't even have shoes. We were dirty because I didn't mean to trudge up old memories. I have a few of my own I'd just as soon leave lie in the past. And the mountains at that. I've heard mountain living can be a hard life. Not too much commerce or farmland. So, your aunt and uncle became your mother and father. That's right. So anyhow, I got myself into a bit of trouble. Someone said I robbed the mercantile in the town of Union Springs, said they seen me. That was last year, and I can't go back. I didn't do it, though, never broke the law in my life. Some places still have my poster up, so I try to stay away from towns. Looks like we're both here for the same reason. Don't tell me you robbed a mercantile. No, but I do have people looking for me. If you're being hunted like me, I guess you know what it's like. I do. I wouldn't have come here otherwise. Oh, Johnny, did you see that? See what? Look down near the myrtle bushes. She lifts her arm, frantically pointing. They're where that hill curves away. I saw something. Wait, it's out of sight behind the hill. What is it? Don't know. I only saw it for a second. Look, she points again. Can you see it? Every now and then, a shadow would steal out from the other side of the hill, as if someone were walking but trying not to be seen. I think there's someone there. Maybe it's just a turkey. Maybe it knows we're here and is avoiding us. It could be, but I don't think so. Suddenly, the shadow pops back out, heading in a line perpendicular to the hill. Then it changes directions away from the hill, growing in length as it moves. A slight-built man in a blue soldier's uniform comes into view. He's scurrying out from behind the hill, his shadow narrowing and casting out in front of him as he runs toward the myrtle bushes. Once he reaches the bushes, he quickly unzips his pants and begins relieving himself onto the green foliage. Once finished, he turns back toward the hill and realizes that he has been spotted. He darts back toward the hill, momentarily disappearing. Then, topping the hill, he can be seen walking a brisk pace in their direction. When he gets closer, he appears to have been injured in the arm. When he reaches them, he acts as if he has crawled the whole distance. His face is flushed like he has taken a steam bath. His beard similarly is dripping with sweat. When he opens his mouth to talk, there appears to be a clammy puff of vapor-like mist exiting before his words. Have you heard about the attack? He stops talking, trying to catch his breath. After his breathing levels off, he turns his head back behind him and gives a loud whistle. Surprisingly, a dark gray horse comes trotting over the peak of the hill, continuing until it stands next to the soldier. Its saddlebags are stamped U.S. Infantry, identifying it as a military horse. The soldier continues, Have you heard about the attack just west of here? It's at this point that he realizes he's looking into the face of a blue woman. He moves nervously, pulling a musket from the saddle of the horse. When it hits him that it's not loaded, he shoves it back and draws a large Bowie knife from a sheath hanging on his side. The only people I know that paint themselves up like that are Indians during wartime. I've just been through a big ruckus with them. He rubs at his injured arm, and I'm not feeling too good about it. For all I know, you're the one that did this to me. She's not an Indian, mister. Johnny replies, the words jumping out of his mouth. Even if she were, you've no right to threaten her. You've no right to threaten any Indian. Not everybody agrees with what you're doing chasing them off their own land. They never did anything to deserve such harsh treatment. What about attacking settlers? Most of the Indians are peaceful. They just don't want their way of life taken from them. He looks back at Nova. Regardless of your hate against the Indians, this woman has a skin condition. So, you're going to have to put that knife back where you found it. Because I won't stand here much longer while you threaten her. Skin condition? Johnny looks back at the soldier. That's right. You her husband, or something? I'm something all right. Now, put the knife away before I have to take it from you. He points the knife at Johnny. What makes you think you can? Johnny moves 1 foot back a step while holding up his hands in a sort of karate defensive position. I've taken on bigger and better equipped men than you and didn't have much trouble. You want to test me? Just keep pointing that knife. The soldier acquiesces, placing the knife with some authority back in its sheath. No harm meant. You can't really blame me. It's not every day you see a blue woman. He starts settling down. I don't hate him. Just doing my job. Anyhow, we got reinforcements coming from as far away as Fort Sumter in Carolina. Today's little exhibition was just the start. There's a huge assault planned to jumpstart the removal efforts. It's the start of an all-out war. What's your name, soldier? And who's your superior? Nova asked. Private Tom Jennings, and yours? I'm Nova, and this brash young man is Johnny. And who is your superior? I do reconnaissance for General Thomas Jessup. I expect to meet up with him in this general location around noontime. Your general caused a national uproar when he captured Osceola by deceit under a flag of truce. I admit it was controversial to say the least. I'm not saying I agree with those tactics, because I don't. Just the same, General Jessup was still miffed at Osceola for sticking a knife through the Treaty of Payne's Landing, in which he and other Indian leaders agreed to trade their Florida land for lands west of the Mississippi. Osceola also killed one of General Jessup's friends, the well-known Indian agent, Wiley Thompson, tricked him and killed him with the very gun Wiley had given him as a gift. So, while I don't agree with deceit, I believe both sides have had their share. Yes, you're quite right about that. The whole situation is just repulsive. Why have you come here today? I've been scouting the area for stragglers broken away from the Seminole War Party. We caught them by surprise, busted them up good at first crack of dawn. Several of them tracked through here afterwards. He points back behind him. Just over that hill, I spotted their horse tracks. Just so you know, they still might be close by, so it's not a safe situation. So, you think they might double back through the same area? Depends. They'll probably meet up with other stragglers. If there's something here they think they need, then they'll most likely be back. Or they may just move on, seeing they want to put some distance between them and the cavalry. I think that's what they'll do, but it might be a good idea to stay inside for the rest of the morning. By the afternoon, they'll have passed on. We've no grievance with the Indians, and we hate to waste such a beautiful morning. But if that's what you think, then we'll obey your instructions. Nobody wants to take on a lot of Indians in the open. If they attacked, it would probably be your finish. It's much better to be inside if they do double back. Like I said, just in case. You'd have the advantage there. If need be, you could defend yourself easier. Nova pressed her hands to the ground, moving her knees forward and standing up. I don't agree with this aggression against the Indians. She brushes debris off her dress. That said, I do realize soldiers like yourself are caught in the middle. You do what the higher-ups tell you to do. So if you'll see us back to the house, I'll make sure you get some coffee and pie. It's coconut. He gives a gracious smile while rubbing his beard. Well now, I'd be crazy to refuse an offer like that. We could tend to your wound, too. It seems to be bleeding. I'd be much obliged, ma'am. The medic must have wrapped it too tight. A fresh dressing might be the best solution. It's not a deep wound. The arrow just grazed me. It sure does sting, though. I got a bruised knee, too, from jumping off my horse. It hurts worse than the arrow cut. I'm sure we could find some liniment for that. Johnny, could you walk the soldier's horse? Sure. He takes the reins. The three turn towards a slight incline and begin walking. She's a beauty. How long you had her? Johnny asked, rubbing the horse's mane. Now, there's a story. When I first signed up, they gave me the oldest usable horse they had. I had to put in 3 requisitions 3 months in a row. I practically begged them to retire the wore-out codger and get me something younger. That's been a year and a few months now. Once inside, Nova asked Jemima for her assistance with the soldier. I'm going to redress his wound. Meantime, he could use some liniment, and I promised him a slice of your coconut pie. Lord, Jemima said, looking over Private Jennings. You'll look like 10 miles of bad road. Yes, ma'am, feel like it too. He takes his hat off and shakes his head gently at her. Well, come on. Sit yourself down the table. I soon feed you first. Jemima's pie makes you happier than old blue layin' on porched shoe on big old catfish head. So good. Once made preacher smile like a goat in briar patch. Go on. Sit yourself the table. Don't be a makin' slower than Sunday afternoon. The pie's a-comin'. Tom watches as Jemima's knife finally succeeds in its task. After taking a bite, he pauses, rearing his head back, giving Jemima the look of an admirer. Eating this pie reminds me of someone. Your grandmama? No, Jemima. It reminds me of William Shakespeare. This pie tastes as good as his words sound. Well, slap my head. Ain't you a little cotton picker? Thank you, Tom. You align like a no-legged dog, but thank you the same. He takes another bite, and right in the middle of it he smiles. His smile is so big, so unforced, so genuine that it seems to embrace not just Jemima, but the whole room. The impact one was having on the other was short-lived as Tom suddenly cringes with pain, grabbing at his injured arm. "Johnny," Nova said as she handed him the bandage dressing along with a bottle of hydrogen peroxide. "Would you be of help?" And redress his arm. "You'll need to wash your hands first, then remove the old dressing. After that, rinse it with the disinfectant, apply the gauze, and wrap it back. I need to talk with James and Grace." Anything to be of help, Nova. In the front section of the house, she huddles with her two hospitable hosts inside the library. "What is it you need, Nova?" James asked. "Are you worried about the Indians?" "No. I can easily take care of myself, and I'm quite aware that you too can do the same." Nova's voice now takes on the deeper tone of authority. "Being from the future, I have to be careful what I tell you." She peeks out the door to make sure no one is listening in, then quietly pulls the door back. "If I told you certain things, you might try to change them, thinking that the eventuality would be a superior one. However, the future is set. History in your time has already happened. What that means for you is that you can't change anything. As hard as you might try, it would end up the same. Space and time have already been laid out in front of you. I'm not going to try to explain the science behind it, because your world's technology hasn't come far enough yet. It would hinder you in understanding. So, I would never tell you anything that might tempt you to make a different decision, walk a different path, or cause you to have regrets. That said, there is an important matter I feel compelled to discuss with you before my departure back to the future. There is a man by the name of Franz Joseph Gall. He's a neuroanatomist, a physiologist, and a pioneer in the localization of mental functions of the brain. He will help establish psychology as a science of the future. He's a very important man. Without his research on the brain, well, let's just say he is critical when it comes to the future understanding of the brain. In years to come, you're going to start reading about him, and you're going to want to understand the brain on a different level. So, I thought it might actually benefit you to start now. James points to a shelf where there are about 12 to 15 books. Those aren't toy balloons sitting up there. They're all the top books on the brain. I've read them too, all of them. Nova walks over close by the shelf, looking up at them. "I'm sure they're wonderful books, James." She turns back, looking him hard in the face. "You're a scientist yourself. It's true you're a chemical scientist. However, one day you will understand that the brain has a chemical composition, as does the human body, right down to human blood and skin. For now, I'm going to encourage you to do research on this scientist, Franz Gall. Even more important, try to keep up with the progress of his daughter, Angela Renee Gall. About this time, she would have graduated from the Royal College of Physicians in London, England. She'll be working with her father. Together, they will become the foremost authorities on brain research. When Angela's older, she's going to take a job at the Perelman School of Medicine in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She will be allowed to continue her research there. After several trips to the countryside, she will eventually fall in love with Gettysburg. After her retirement, she moves there. 2 years later, she starts receiving letters from you, encouraging her to move to Tallahassee. You will be offering her a job to teach you about the workings of the brain. You two will become helpful partners and will blaze your own trail in brain research. James appears puzzled, rubbing at the side of his head. But why? Why would any of this interest me? You already have a formula that regenerates people back to youth. Unfortunately, you'll soon realize that you have to keep regenerating your cells every so many years. The formula doesn't last forever. You are still aging, just at a much lower rate, and even that's going to become a problem. There'll be some other problems associated with the formula as you begin to regenerate people and to keep them regenerated. I won't tell you what they are because you can't change the history of it anyway. What if you could one day figure out the original cause of aging and eliminate it? How would you feel about that, James? That would be astonishing, You couldn't put a price on something like that. Eliminate aging forever, and for everyone without the use of injections. I'm listening, Nova. In my era, you've not gotten there yet, but you've isolated the cause. It's only a matter of time before you have a solution. The sooner you start studying the brain, and by that, I mean the same theories Franz and Angela Gall are onto, the further ahead you'll be in my time period. By being better prepared when you start working with Angela, you could shave significant time off in the long run in finding the solution. Don't ask me how I know. You just need to trust me on this. If you believe this is what I need to do, then I'll start immediately. Tell her, Grace, I'm a man of my word. Yes, Nova. If James says he'll do it, it's as good as done. No sooner had their discussion finished when Jemima comes running into the room. I declare, there's trouble, Mr. James. Yins need to come quick. What is it, Jemima? Slap my head and call me a silly, Mr. James. Indians done a come up in the back. They done a come up faster than green grass through a goose. It only took 5 seconds for all of them to run to the kitchen where Tom and Johnny were staring through a large double window. Tom turns to the others, his brow wrinkling up and his eyes widening. If they decide to attack, then we're done for. There's too many to fight. I count over 50 in the backyard alone. There's at least another 100, maybe 200 back beyond the barn. And more than that, say, 50 yards away. The look of dejection sweeps over his face. Looks like their whole war party. We best pray General Jessup arrives early, or they decide we're not worth their trouble. Shouldn't we go out? Grace asked James. It's the only thing we can do, isn't it, to talk with them? I think you're right, Grace. If we do nothing, they may set fire to the house. I would feel responsible if something happened to you, and I didn't speak up. Tom said nervously and loud. So, I'm speaking up. If you two go out there, you're probably not making it back inside in good health. You might not make it back at all. Best to wait this out. Maybe we get lucky and they just leave, or maybe the cavalry shows up ready to fight. I'll go. With those words, Johnny unexpectedly flings the door open, running out among the Indians. Almost instantly, a tomahawk whizzing through the air hits an oak tree, shaking loose Spanish moss, sending it down across Johnny's shoulders and stopping him in his tracks. One Indian steps out in front of several others with a spear aimed and ready to throw. He's waiting while the others talk among themselves. It seems they're discussing whether to kill him or not. Sensing the danger, Nova sidesteps her way up to Private Jennings. Totally unsuspecting, she catches him off guard, head-butting him in the forehead and knocking him unconscious. She drags him to a chair, leaning him partly over the table. Sorry, Soldier Tom. I can't allow you to see what I'm about to do. If you snitched on me, the military would never let these good people have any more peace. She walks outside just off the porch, stops, and raises her arms out horizontally. As she concentrates, a tingling sensation moves through her arteries into every vein and capillary within the diameter of a hair. A powerful electromagnetic pulse is building inside her. The Indians watch her stunning visual blue color as she begins glowing brightly. This causes a profound silence among them. Unable to move, their eyes are like stars, believing they are watching one of the gods. All at once, a slight shaking of the ground starts, and at the same time, all of the Indians' weapons are tugged upwards like metal to a magnet. Their arrow heads, spear heads, along with their tomahawk heads, all composed of naturally occurring minerals, each of these arranged in three-dimensional patterns, forming various chemical compositions, all with the internal crystal structures of metamorphic rocks. Nova was manipulating the numerous metals making up the heads of the weapons. As a side effect, all the rocks a foot or so beneath the surface of the ground were also being affected. As the vibration in the ground increases, friction creates a bright green glowing substance beneath the surface. The entire ground all around them is illuminated from below. Nova slightly lifts her arms, and the weapons lift higher, the arrows, spears, and tomahawks coming out of their sheaths and hovering. She slightly lowers her arms, and they follow her movement coming down, but still hovering, hanging in thin air. She does this several more times up with her arms, up and then down again, always the weapons following in sync, shooting up, then down, always stopping and hovering. By now, the Indians are growing panicky watching their war implements being manipulated like they are toys. And then Nova goes and does it. Abruptly, and with great force, she thrusts her arms all the way straight up. The ground starts shaking violently. The Indians involuntarily succumb to the jarring, wavering ground and plummet down. Arrows, spears, and tomahawks by the hundreds shoot straight up 20 or more feet into the air, hovering and shaking fiercely. Rocks of all shapes, sizes, and color burst up from the ground, shooting out glowing green debris in every direction. Many of the Indians are being pelted by the rocks. They run the best that they can away from the house. Soon they are 50 yards back where the ground is stable, mounting their horses. They can be seen riding off, a few stragglers without horses running close behind. All done, Nova walks up to Johnny. She helps him up from the ground where he had fallen during the uproar. He starts to talk, but she places her hand over his mouth. "Just hold me," she said. "There's plenty of time to talk later. I thought they were going to kill you. Don't make me wait any longer." The two embraced, and Nova kissed him softly on the lips. Inside the house, the scene is a little different. Jemima's eyes, which had at one point swollen to the size of saucers, were now trying to settle back down. She pushes on the back screen door, ready to walk outside, and turns back looking face to face with James and Grace. "We need us mo blue girls like that. She mo flashy and a rat with a gold tooth, and a tougher than a stick in the eye. She'd scratch 'em up worse than a blind berry picker. Make me feel good, like a possum done eat a sweet tater." You've reached the end of Chapter 9 of The Blue Woman. Stay tuned for more from audiobooks by H.G. Shuler, Earth Chronicles Book 2 on YouTube.